Sean Ray and David Bay here at the conclusion of the Arnold Classic here in Melbourne, Australia. We got the VIP photo line lined up to get the photos with the champions. Tonight, though, Oksana Grishina victorious in the pro fitness end.
Yeah, we kind of knew that was going to happen coming in here. No disrespect to any of the other competitors, but Oksana's on a different level. Brought the same routine that she had 2 weeks ago in Columbus, that Michael Jackson routine. Absolutely brought the house down. You know, I had said on the play-by-play, you almost feel like as a media person when you're watching her perform, it's one of those like, I'm watching one of the greatest, if not the greatest, fitness competitor of all time. I gotta liken it to when people used to watch MJ playing basketball. Right. We were talking about that the other night. So I was a little bit closer to the stage than I was here in Columbus or when I saw her at the Olympia. So you know, it was a cool performance. The people here loved it.
Yep, and she was followed up by very competitive Whitney Jones, and then third place was
Rael Graber. Whitney and Rael, two of the most athletic girls that you're going to see anywhere in the fitness division. They were both in incredible conditioning, some of the leanest girls here. As you said, very high energy routines. So it was still a very competitive field. I mean, Oksana, you know, like we said, a level above some of the other girls, but no disrespect to them. Those girls really brought it as well.
In the meat and potatoes was the men's bodybuilding, of course. Let's start with the fifth place finalist. Evan Sinapani came in here, got fifth place. He kind of disappeared on the stage in Columbus, Ohio, but here with a very smaller lineup, he actually kind of stood out in certain poses.
Yeah, Evan definitely got a little bit better from Columbus. And the thing that I've said about 10 times on my show with Bob that we've talked about is people are waiting for something from Evan, but what I think is he's super consistent and he's good. And it's almost to a fault. And if you can say that in bodybuilding, that he's so consistent that people just expect him to place high. You know, they're not really expecting him to win these big shows. They know he's not going to be at the bottom of the pack. So sometimes he gets lost in these discussions because we just know Evan's going to be that good. But definitely better here than he was in Columbus, so good for Evan.
If I've got advice for Evan, I'd probably choose wisely. There's a lot of shows on the calendar. He chooses the right shows. He can wind up in the victory circle. This might be a pay grade ahead of his level of competition when you got a guy like Kai Green destined for the Hall of Fame. But if he picks the right shows, then they're out there. He could wind up back on that Mr. Olympia stage.
Yeah, I think he just wants to compete against the best. I mean, that's the kind of guy Evan is, where I think he knows. I think you're spot on. If he wants to get back to the Olympia, he can do it on points. There's a ton of shows throughout the course of the year that if Evan walks into, he's the winner. But he's a competitor through and through, and he wants to be on the stage with the big name guys. You know, he wants to go toe to toe with those guys.
And well, one of the local favorites, Josh Lenarkowitz, fell a spot. He actually looked like he was leaner and more athletic. I'm not so sure that he screwed up from 2 weeks ago because he actually looked a little bit drier, especially from the front.
I thought it was a similar package. I thought maybe he flattened out a little bit, maybe just a bit watery. I don't know. Josh has had a really, really busy schedule. As we know, he was in Poland 3 weeks ago, went to Columbus, then came back here. Yeah, he's a relatively new pro, so sometimes getting your travel schedule and your timing with your food, your water, and everything, that can be tricky. So we know Josh is a hard worker. Definitely not quite at his best here, but still fourth place finish, and he got to do it in front of his home crowd.
He didn't get beat by any slouches. I mean, Justin Compton was vastly improved over 2 weeks ago. He looked like he got some of the water out, but still from the midsection area, still looks like it's a work in progress.
He's just got to really focus on keeping his stomach tight. When he's hitting his front shots, front lat spread, front double bicep, especially in his back shots, that waist gets small. He's just got to be very mindful of when he's coming out and his transitions and stuff. Because from an aesthetic standpoint, again, a small waist. The crazy thing is, this whole weekend, Justin just kept getting better and better and better and better. And even you guys aren't going to be able to see this, but even when he was standing over here waiting for the awards, you could see his legs start popping and stuff. So, you know, definitely a confidence booster for Justin that I think was much needed after kind of missing the mark last year, missing the mark a couple weeks ago. He comes here, moves up a spot, and really brings better conditioning than we've seen him at in a while.
Yeah, and our first runner-up, Cedric McMillan's got nothing to hang his head down about. I mean, he was very consistent. I think what he does, he has a tendency to relax sometimes on that stage. And when he relaxes, he actually looks like he smooths out. Doesn't have the wow factor that Kai Green brings to the stage, but he also doesn't have those huge improvements that Kai Green can make from one show to the next, which I think relegated him in the second spot.
Yeah, Cedric has also been pretty consistent, but the knock on Cedric is he's always at about 95%, which with Cedric's structure and his size, 95% is good enough to win almost any show.
Unless someone like Kai's in it.
Not quite good enough for an Arnold Classic. So I thought Cedric looked fantastic as always. Great posing routine. I will agree with you that I would like to see him get a little bit more aggressive on stage during the call-outs. I know some guys, it's just their personalities to be a little bit laid back and they hit their poses as it's called out. As a fan, I like it when the guys get after it. I like it when they start getting aggressive, they start hitting those poses. Cedric definitely has fun on stage with the other guys, but I would like to see him a little bit more aggressive in the call-outs and the comparisons.
Well, you called it when Cedric or when Kai walked out. It was basically game over, especially when he turned to the rear. There wasn't a whole lot that you can tear him down on with this lineup. When Kai shows up in shape, he's hard to beat.
Yeah. In Columbus a couple weeks ago, Kai comes out in the day, and then we saw him in the lineups, and I was like, Cedric might have this. He came out at night. It was like, okay, this show's over. When Kai came out yesterday, there wasn't really much of a question for me as to whether he was going to be the winner or not. From pictures and from some of the things guys were saying online, apparently, there was a lot of people who thought it was a lot closer than we saw it. But being here literally 4 feet away from the stage, there really wasn't any question in my mind that Kai was your winner here from when he came out and through the first comparisons.
Well, let's talk about moving on to the big one, and that's the Olympia. That's really what it's all about. I mean, these contests actually lead to something. And Kai wasn't standing up here next to Dexter Jackson. He didn't beat a Dennis Wolf. He wasn't standing next to a Phil Heath. So the million-dollar question, is this good enough to take out those guys come September, or is there some work that Kai's got to do?
That's a tough question. One, there's no guarantees we're going to see Kai back on the Olympia stage. He's committed to kind of do this Arnold run. Obviously, it's a smart move for him. He's going to win a lot of these Arnolds. I think the first time he's going to run into a real big name is if he does the South Africa Arnold. Looks like Dexter's going to be doing that. As far as whether what he brought here this weekend is enough to put him into an Olympia title, I think that depends on what type of conditioning Phil and Dexter bring. One of the things that we can talk about over and over and over is how these guys look, and is this package enough? And I keep turning because he's actually right behind him. Is this package? Yeah, he's listening. Watch it. No, is this package enough to win an Olympia title? And I really think, from my experience over the years, and especially the last few covering shows, until you see guys standing side by side, you can say that's Mr. Olympia right there or this. But until you put them next to each other, I won't even make that call.
Well, I mean, and this is a business where you say you're only as good as the guys you stand next to. And Cedric McMillan has yet to stand on a Mr. Olympia stage. As a matter of fact, none of these guys, with the exception of Evan, were even in a Mr. Olympia contest, which made Kai look even better. So the million-dollar question is going to be, what comes Kai's way in September? But first, we got to find out if he's going to wind up out in Brazil in 2 short weeks. It's hard for these champions to savor the victory because we want to see what's next and what's next. That being said, what we saw here and what we saw in September from Phil, are they on a collision course? Because at some point in time, they're going to have to meet again, whether it's in 2016 or 2017. But that's a match that has to take place.
Well, the fans want it. I'll tell you that. The fans definitely want it. As a media person, I want to see it. I think Kai and Phil are your 2 best bodybuilders in the world right now. And when you have the 2 best, people want to see those guys toe-to-toe. They want to see them both at their best as well, because that's when we're really going to find out, who the real champ is. But
do you think we're getting to a place where the bodybuilders now, like the UFC fighters, can create matches? If Kai decides to do the Arnold Classic and sit in the audience and watch Phil potentially win another Mr. Olympia, in 2017, is there going to be a demand that's going to be created to have these guys compete with them being the 2 best bodybuilders?
Well, in the IFBB, the competitors get to pick and choose the shows they want to do. So that's up to Kai and Phil. I think Phil has made it known that he's going to continue doing the Mr. Olympias. Kai hasn't really made up his mind. He hasn't been very clear with the media or with with the media or anybody as to whether he's going to do Olympias. We talked, or rather, we saw Jay Cutler had a seminar earlier on today. Somebody asked Jay if we thought we're going to see a Kai versus Phil rematch. Jay said he doesn't think we'll see Kai ever again on Olympia stage. Well, he said he thinks he's going to stick with the Arnolds. But so it's really one of those questions where I wish I had a better answer than the one I just gave, but it's yet to be seen.
Well, the one thing that we did see, we saw Kai Green produce and deliver the goods and stand victorious here at the 2nd annual Arnold Classic here in Melbourne, Australia, for a very long weekend with David Bay. I'm Sean Ray, MuscularDevelopment.com.